Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I thought I would do a little bit of a commentary run of a Dark Ranger Marksmanship playthrough for a Rookery+16 puck that I did. And a lot of people have been asking for sort of commentary videos over things, so I guess this will be my first try. Let me know how it went in the comments. First of all, I just wanted to go over the build here. So what I'm running in this dungeon is like basically the standard Icy Veins Dark Ranger Mythic Plus talent recommendation. You can find it here on the talents page. And you can also find it on the Mythic Plus page, and it's listed as the single target heavy Dark Ranger Mythic Plus talent build. So the thing about these builds is you can do more AoE and possibly more overall with the AoE heavy build, but the thing is everything the AoE heavy Dark Ranger Mythic Plus build does, Sentinel does better. The thing about the single target heavy Dark Ranger Mythic Plus build is that the AoE is worse than Sentinel, but at least it has significantly more single target and prior. So going for the AoE heavy variant is kind of just like you gain nothing except for the fun of playing Dark Ranger, which I do think is more fun. Whereas with single target heavy, you're sacrificing some AoE, but you're gaining quite a lot of single target. And as you'll see in this key, the single target carry potential of this build is pretty nuts. So yeah, that's the build. Let's hop into the actual run here, if I can actually bring it up properly. There we are. All right. So yeah, just starting out here, pretty standard. One neat thing about this build is that it doesn't run precision detonation, which means like 4-piece procs. I mean, it's nice to get 4-piece procs, but it's not quite as big of a deal as it normally is. And also on this particular pull, you know, normally range like to stand around here. But for Marksmanship Sentinel, you can't really do that because you're going to be too far away to reliably get the double dip on your 4-piece. So often you have to run around down here, and it's just a little bit less convenient. Whereas with Marksmanship Dark Ranger, you can just stand up here and it's no problem at all. So that's what you'll see me do here. I'll usually mark out the left Thunderer here. It depends a little bit. Often I'm not the first kick here, but I'll at least prepare it. You can see the Death Knight kicks it first. Multi-shot, Rapid Fire, then Lust here. Then I send my Volley, then Black Arrow. So I also send my explosive shot a little bit early here. Now, that's not actually normal gameplay. I did that as an exception here because I saw everything was still getting gathered up, and I figured, okay, I don't want to send my my full-on Black Arrow just yet. I want to sort of hold it back for a global wait until absolutely everything is stacked, and then send it. So then I go Black Arrow, then True Shot, which resets the Black Arrow, gives me a Death Blow proc, and then a Black Arrow again, and now I'm just kind of into the opener here. So multi-shot, aim shot, and then whenever I can, I just weave in Black Arrows with trick shots. That's really all there is to it on AoE. On single target, there's a little bit more nuance to Black Arrow usage, but here I'm literally just doing the most box standard burst AoE rotation here. Steady shotting when I run out of focus, just making sure that absolutely every single Black Arrow is cast with trick shots up. And of course, I'm using my highest health tracker here to make sure I'm always hitting the right target, making sure we kill everything at roughly the same time. That's extra important with this build, I would argue, because the priority target damage of this build is significant. Like where you put your Black Arrows is actually really significant for your damage. And as you can see here, 16 mil damage on this pull. And I didn't need any like 4-piece procs to do it. Like that was just, box standard. I don't think I got a single proc actually. So that's sort of the floor of what you can expect here. And I did get PI, but I still, demolished the Unholy DK by around 50% on that particular pull. All right. Going into the next pull here, always like to mark out the very leftmost Thunder. And what's really important for marksmanship in general is to always take advantage of the fact that we have MD. So like as soon as I see the sigil go down on the floor here, I'm already like multi-shot, rapid fire. Whereas if I was BM, I'd probably need to be more conservative here. But yeah, multi-shot, rapid fire, a multi-shot again, and then pop down volley once everything is stacked. Get stacked up here, and then it's mostly just a matter of focusing on kicks. Of course, we can feign the beam that we get from the what's it called, the Storm Rook. Yeah. A Sentinel, you normally have cooldowns immediately here. I have to wait a little bit, so I wait for my cooldowns to come up. Then I do the Black Arrow, then True Shot, then Black Arrow, always with trick shots available before the very first of those Black Arrows. And now I'm just kind of into it, into the normal rotation again. Multi-shot, aim shot, multi-shot, aim shot, kind of just hoping for some Black Arrow procs. I don't get tremendously lucky here. I eventually get one here. Then I go Black Arrow, don't get another, then I go Rapid Fire. Don't get another one, of course. Rapid Fire has a higher chance of giving you Black Arrow procs than Aim Shot does. That's why it's kind of an important spell for this spec. All right, in this scenario right here, so you can see I have Trick Shots available and Black Arrow. So you might think, okay, I'm just gonna Black Arrow here, and I actually do that, but maybe I shouldn't have, because really the limiting factor for when this pack dies is going to be when the Void Rider dies. We can't really move on without the Void Rider being dead. So at this point, I would actually have swapped into single target mode. The rule for single target Black Arrow usage is that you always and you only use Black Arrow when you have precise shots. It becomes a high priority arcane shot replacement. So when I aim shot here, I'm praying that I'll get a Black Arrow proc to follow it up with. Unfortunately, I don't, but that's how it goes. You'll see more of that on the actual boss coming up. I'll probably skip that through the boss a little bit because it's just a lot of the same. All right, let me just go back here so you get this. I'll pick out the highest HP target in the first pack here in Hunter's Market. Then I'll, once again, very aggressively, pop MD right before my first Black Arrow here. Start my global, get the volley down early. I could probably have held the volley a little bit longer. Here's a really juicy scenario, what you see on screen right now. So, of course, with the headshot talent that this build runs, Black Arrow scales with precise shots and also consumes it. On AoE though, we can almost never make use of this because we want to use Black Arrow with trick shots every time. But in order to get trick shots, we have to use multi-shot first, which also spends the precise shots that we have. The exception here comes up during volley. So in this scenario right here, I actually have a precise shot stack, that's this little blue thing here, and I have a Black Arrow proc, and thanks to me having put down volley, I actually have trick shots as well. So this is a really good scenario to be in. Like if you can get precise shotted Black Arrows in during volley, that's a really, really good scenario. And that's what ends up happening here. And what that means in practice is that, being able to go volley into aim shot on AoE and then praying that aim shot gives you a death blow proc. I mean, actually, yeah, no, it has to be an aim shot because that's what gives you precise shots. If you can make that happen, it's really good. So there it goes. Multi-shot, aim shot. I had to do a trank shot here to make sure I'm fully caught up on the Soothes and all these enemies. And now it's just kind of a normal, it's a little bit of a dry spell. I didn't get tremendously good procs throughout this dungeon here, despite the damage ultimately ending up quite good. So I think the ceiling is much higher than this. Of course, when I get the Stormrook channel on me, especially during AoE, always make sure to feign it. Always hit the highest HP target. You'll see me swap targets to whatever is highlighted by my weak aura to make sure that we're killing the pack as efficiently as possible. But yeah, so this was actually a recovery pack for me. You can see I did like half the damage of the Unholy DK, but you'll see on the next pack, and we actually get a fairly decent patrol going on here. And I mouse over just to see how well he procced. He procced reasonably well in that pull. All right, multi-shot, once again, rapid fire, in this case, Black Arrow. And then I actually pop everything here. Let me just go back and recap that. So multi-shot, Black Arrow, and then true shot. And I do it a little bit late because I don't want to miss the Void Rider with this Black Arrow. I'm not sure I do. I think I might do. I think I get it off because 3.3 mil there. And then I'm back into it again. So multi-shot, then Black Arrow, then pop down the volley. And this is what the scenario I'm looking for. I'm looking for a volley into aim shot into a Black Arrow proc. I don't end up getting it. Would have been really juicy if I did. But yeah, now we're once again just in a proc pray mode. Always make sure multi-shot into that Black Arrow right there. That's going from me here, but as long as I'm sort of safe on health, I'm not really that bothered. And you can see once again, I'm not getting lucky with procs in the slightest. I haven't gotten any 4-piece procs, and I didn't really get tremendously lucky with my Black Arrows. And yet, like, the carry potential on this pack is just insane, as you can see in the damage meter. But it's not just about the overall damage here. Notice how low the Void Rider is, despite, it actually gets pulled in a little bit late. It has like double the HP of the others. Unholy and Boomkin are not known for their prio damage. So like the Void Rider being this low when everything else is dead, that's like mostly like a Dark Ranger thing. We finish it off here. All right, and here we are again. So let me just go back a little bit, recap properly. Yeah, so as soon as I know, like, the sigil is down, multi-shot into aim shot, stand still immediately. I don't want to volley until everything is roughly gathered, which it is now. So I go Black Arrow, then I go volley, then I go aim shot, and I pray for that Black Arrow proc, which I don't get. Again, not even a particularly good RNG run. One thing I should also talk about actually just here is what about explosive shot usage? This is something that comes up a lot. So it's a little bit different between Sentinel and Dark Ranger. So essentially on AoE, I use explosive shot only when I can do nothing else except for steady shot. And I've actually made my weak aura in my 100 weak aura pack here, available in the description. It will glow orange on explosive shot when basically it checks for like aim shot not being available, rapid fire not being available, and focus being low, or focus being above the 20 threshold. So when it glows orange, basically that's when you would, when I'm supposed to explosive shot. So that's the normal way of playing it with Dark Ranger. For Sentinel, if I'll just mention that real quick since it comes up so much, so use it under those circumstances on AoE as well. But in addition to that, if you get a lock and load proc, a Sentinel, it's absolutely essential. It's not even just Sentinel, it's just whenever you're running the precision detonation talent, which this particular Dark Ranger build doesn't. When you get a lock and load proc, it's essential that you do explosive shot into spending the lock and load proc. And you want to do this at roughly 10 to 15 yards of range maximum. That will double dip. That will basically give the precision detonation 25% bonus to your 4-piece explosive shot, which is the one that's like 300% power. 25% of 300%, that's like 75. So you're getting 75% of an explosive shot's worth of damage by doing it that way. Anyway, I digress. Let's continue. So you can see right there, my explosive shot glows. Actually, like I have to get used to it a little bit. You'll see me steady shot when I shouldn't be many times. That's just a mistake. So don't copy that part. If the explosive shot, if you're using my weak auras and you see that glow, then just use the explosive shot. All right, here I get kind of walloped. I could probably, yeah, so what I should have done here is been less greedy. I should have tranked because right now you can see it's charging me while it's tranked, and there's also a cast going from me. Instead of implosive trapping there, I should probably have used the trank sooner. All right, not sending CDs on this. I'm just holding it for the last pack. Get some decent 4-piece procs here. Feign the channel there. Make sure I don't die. It's pretty close. All right. Now you're going to see some juicy boss damage. So actually we're going into this boss with, Signet, PI, Potion. It's quite a decent scenario. But the thing is, I don't quite have the global, so I'm just going to send, I'm going to like Hunter's Mark, of course, then a Rapid Fire, and now we get the scenario we want, right? I send absolutely, I put down a volley, True Shot, everything, Signet, and now I'm just praying for Black Arrow procs. I want every single aim shot to give me a Black Arrow proc. If they don't, I don't get especially good NG. Not terrible either. But as you can see here, that's basically what I'm praying for the whole time. Here on these moves, I always like to... Really, the idea is that you always stand on like one of the sort of straight lines, or you don't stand on the diagonal ones. And that way, as soon as you know which direction the lightning torrent is going to move in, you do a disengage. By the way, so yeah, coming out of True Shot here, I'm doing like almost 5 mil, right? 4.5 mil. And I'm gonna like, even outside of cooldowns, Black Arrow's single target is quite respectable. Here you gotta move rather quickly. But in terms of rotationally speaking, here I just always spend my Black Arrows with precise shots. I don't just hit Black Arrow when I can. That's a very, very common mistake. So for example, in this scenario here, I have a precise shots, I have a Black Arrow, I send it. But there will be scenarios coming up soon where you'll see me have Black Arrow, but no precise shots, and you'll see me intentionally hold it. Hopefully such a scenario will come up soon, because it's quite instructive. Finish that cast. By the way, so the explosive shot weak aura will glow orange sometimes on single target, but we don't use explosive shot on single target, period. Never at all. Okay, so example this scenario here. You might think, well, why is he not casting this Black Arrow instead of standing still and casting aim shot? The reason is I want my precise shots to affect this Black Arrow at all times. So I stand still, aim shot into Black Arrow. And then I continue my rotation, praying for some procs here. Hit the rapid fire, move along. Always try to sneak in some casts. Now I already got CDs again, so what I'm going to look for is a good opportunity to volley right before going into my CDs, so hopefully I do that. Actually, I should have popped down the volley before entering my CDs here. But yeah, there goes the volley. And here's a Black Arrow with the precise shots. And once again, just praying for procs as much as humanly possible. I don't get tremendously lucky here, but you can see, like, if you just look how much damage my DPS climbs throughout a cooldown, like, you can get a rough idea of just how big of a single target advantage this build is. Because like we didn't pull anything into the boss, like, and I'm sitting at 2.5 mil plus pure single target, right? Which is a lot more than you see Sentinel MM doing in fact. In fact, my boss damage in this build is roughly 25% higher than any other logged hunter on this fight, including the literal world top 5, right? Because they actually log their keys. So, so often the logging keys doesn't really matter, but for hunters it actually does because the actual top players generally log their keys. But yeah, that's pretty much it for single target. Nothing too fancy here. But yeah, ending the fight at 2.3 mil. No lust or anything, right? Like this is just, if we had lust from the pool, because lust is insane here, we could have done significantly more. All right, jump down here, grab a feather. Now we do a skip later on that will require us to remove the buff that we get from landing on this bird. This is a fairly common route. Here we have a little bit of a catastrophe. Someone ninja pulls this. I feign and I sort of check, okay, are we playing? We decide not to. Not sure what happens, but we end up recovering and going into the pull. This is a pretty good pull for Dark Ranger. We have all of our CDs available. No pot, but we have the PI. As soon as we pull here, multi-shot, black arrow, true shot, black arrow, then rapid fire, or then volley, then rapid fire, and now once again. So what's important here is basically use every defensive to stay alive because you'll have them back for the difficult pull coming up later. And pray for a lot of black arrow procs. I get fairly lucky here. Dwarfing that debuff is super convenient. I'm cast going through that I'm a little bit frustrated by because I can see the tank's kick is available, but I guess he's too busy setting up the pull to unlock kick. It is what it is. Yeah, that's pretty much it. These pulls are really, like, people play them so safe, they're lining every cast and stuff. It really is, you use your defensives to allow yourself to do lots of damage to kill it before it kills you. And only like once at the very end, like when everyone's out of juice, then you might line some of these casts. That's at least how I play it. All right, so that's sort of the main CD pull. Then we go into this recovery pull, and you'll see we actually do quite decent damage even on recovery pulls. I'm going into it with trick shots already available, so I don't have to multi-shot before I send my black arrow here. I think I might send my volley though. No, I send my multi-shot immediately, then volley, then into an explosive shot, lock and load, or aim shot, lock and load, praying for that black arrow proc that I talked about earlier in the video. I don't get it, but I gave it a try. And now we're just kind of in standard mode here. Multi-shot, black arrow, get the aim shot off. The important thing to realize is that even though you're supposed to always use black arrow with trick shots on AoE, it doesn't consume trick shots. It's not like aim shot and rapid fire in that way. Your trick shots doesn't go away after you use it. But yet it still benefits from it. So that can be a little bit counterintuitive. You just have to get used to that. All right. So here we're just kind of prioritizing this one down. Maybe I should have swapped to it a little bit sooner. I just hate doing that because these crushes jump out, right? And then you lose AoE and it just feels bad. But sometimes it may have been a bit of a time save to swap to this one sooner. Now, that was the recovery pull, and our signet, our potion, our everything is just back right back up. Here, it's very important to cancel this buff up here. Otherwise, you might ninja pull. In fact, what happens here is I'm a little bit slow. The tank goes a little bit before I expect. And what happens is we get in combat with it, and my buff is starting to go off. And I click it off, and then feign the aggro I did, and then I camo, and so that's safety. But if I didn't have a feign there would be serious trouble. So, if you know that skip is happening and you want to be totally safe, you may just like not take the buff in the first place. But other than that, just make sure that you cancel it before we go into this pull. All right, here we just stand around waiting for the tank to recover. While we are waiting, I just mark one skull, making sure that we're all in agreement about what to hit. What you'll see me do here is I'm targeting the diffuser, but I'm mouse over multi-shotting these mobs because I don't really want to fuck with my targeting too much here in the pull. I want to really maximize my damage done to this diffuser. Then I pop the lust, then black arrow, true shot, everything, black arrow, then also pot here, and now we're just praying for some procs. Yeah, we've done this quite a few times now, Black arrow with trick shots is always top prio, and then we're basically just using aim shots and rapid fires to generate procs for those black arrows. Of course, making sure that trick shots is available for all of these spells. Hopefully we get some lock and load procs. Notice we don't. There was nothing exceptional about the procs I did on this pull, yet I did, as much damage as the Death Knight and the the Balanced Druid combined on this pull. And my prior target damage is absolutely excellent. Yeah, so you can see how quickly this diffuser is dying. And I think, think they maybe could have hit a little bit better. But yeah, relatively clean pull here. Quite a good time. And a lot of the cleanliness of this pull was just thanks to this build, right? Well, not necessarily thanks to this build. Sentinel would have been great here as well. But certainly thanks to the Hunter in the group, which is encouraging. All right, Alphane here, camo here mostly just for health regen, doesn't really matter that much. Here it's a little bit petty to like start sending multi-shot black arrows into this, but I mean it's a puck, I don't need the key, it's very easily timed. I'll pad for a little bit of overall. I mean, I'm a content creator after all. All right, here the main thing to know is that whenever you have the debuff coinciding with jumps, you want to watch your health and perhaps use a defensive. That's really all there is to this one. Don't use defensives just whenever you have the debuff, because then you'll run out real quick. You only use defensives when the debuff being on you coincides with the crush reality. This is not a super coordinated group by any means, so like debates are not gonna there are others you can watch if you want to see how this boss should be done in like a coordinated fashion. I just try to bait stuff close to other stuff. So here I have the debuff, but I don't use the defensive because there's no crush reality coinciding with it. Other than that, it's just pure single target, right? So I'm currently in cooldowns, always trying to sneak, like using, even in cooldowns, every single back arrow should be with precise shots. I try to volley when I think the boss isn't going to move, but he moved right out of the volley here. I don't know, volleys, I haven't really, like, I'm not playing volley optimally, really. I could be playing it smarter in many cases. There are lots of volleys that I put down that aren't really that great. So that's something I have to improve on. Sometimes you just get screwed, of course, and it is what it is. But yeah. So real strong single target here. Actually just wanted to take one moment to just bring up the log on screen just to show, because of course the DPS meter on this fight is affected by the little bit of padding in the beginning. So I just want to like filter it down to just boss damage. If I can find the log, which should be able to. Yeah, so let me just bring this up, OBS, and bring it over there, and then browser capture. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I just wanted to bring this up. Stormguard Gorn, pure boss damage. We can see here, like, just on the boss, 2.1 mil, right? And this is me holding CDs at the very end for the next pack, I believe. This is just pure boss damage, none of the padding in the beginning. Just kind of sells the idea, right? It's so much more than the others. All right, back to the video. Okay, get this black. No, it's fine now. But yeah, rotationally, it's not really that interesting. It's really just about praying for some procs and making sure that you're not sending black arrows willy-nilly, but you're only using them with precise shots. I do actually use CDs here. Yeah, you can see here. And you can see we end the boss at pretty monstrous pure single target damage. All right. I think we actually we just about get our true shot down enough for this perk. So Hunter's Mark going into it. I'm waiting for everything to stack up a little bit, and then I pop down the volley. Then black arrow, then rapid fire, then I get a black arrow proc, then black arrow again. Then I send, because I really want to send this true shot right before my aim shot. So here I kind of break my own rule and hit an explosive shot just to push back my my globals a little bit so that I can get this scenario happen. Multi-shot, into true shot, into aim shot, and now it's just, the same rotation we talked about a lot. We got some decent procs here. And even though this is just free targets, like not some mass AoE stuff, you can see the damage is extremely respectable, right? This is like no PI, no signet. This is just me, my true shot, and a single lock and load proc, right? And we're doing like 6 mil on just free targets here, which is quite strong. Here we kick that. Mouse over multi-shot can be useful sometimes for when things are stacked out like this. Like here, for example, if I was to multi-shot off of this one, I probably wouldn't get trick shots. But if I multi-shot over the crusher here, which I do with the mouse over, then it actually, I do actually get the trick shots. And you can see that the prior damage of this build is so powerful, the Ascendant actually dies so early. Then I have to swap here. And I sneak in this Black Arrow while I still have the trick shots from volley here to get some cleave on them. And now it's Parasol, and you kind of want to get this done quick because you don't want to land too late. Because if you cast any ability, even misdirection while doing this Parasol thing, it seems to break, at least in my experience. So, you know, as soon as combat is over, pop your Parasol, jump down. You don't want to be like flying while they start the pack here. A little bit of wiggling here to make sure I land. Going into the pack, Hunter's Mark. As soon as everything's stacked, multi-shot, Black Arrow, rapid fire, multi-shot, Black Arrow, now aim shot. You can see I don't have CDs here, so I'm not gonna get all this juicy pad going. And you can see that looks kind of sad for my DPS right now. But I do get the volley in when everything is stacked here. But notice what happens when I pop my cooldown soon. So, you know, everything's kind of dying before my cooldown's up. You might think I'm really sad, but what I'm seeing here is an opportunity. We just popped in this orange Ascendant here, the one that comes from over here. It's much higher HP. So what do? I swap to it, I pop all my cooldowns on it, and look at what happens with the DPS here. They, like the Unholy DK and the Balance Tree, they got all the pad off on the civilians, right? But who's actually carrying this pack? Look at how quickly this orange Ascendant is going down compared to the other one. And look how I actually climb on the meter here. This is all high value priority target damage. There's something to be said for, you know, mass AoE sometimes, but like what really matters on these packs, especially in Rookery, is like priority target damage, right? Getting these Ascendants out of the way so that we can move on. And what ends up happening here is like the Ascendant dies like before it's accompanying Crusher, right? That's the value of priority target damage. And just to illustrate that a little bit further, just wanted to bring up, if we just find this exact pull if we can, let me see here, go to Void Ascendant, and we look at the first pull of them. I think it's, I want to say it's this one. Yeah, just Void Ascendant damage in general for these pulls right here. Like, if we look at the afflicted civilians, it's not gonna be anything special. It's terrible, actually. I'm terrible on the civilians, but on the actual priority target damage that needs to die, I'm doing extremely strongly. Also, consuming Void Stones, I don't think that's in particular this pack. Actually, consuming Void Stone is not so hard. I don't think I have CDs for that particular one. But if you just look at the whole dungeon after second boss, and we look at some of these priority targets, let's see here. So like Void Ascendants, like throughout the whole area, just completely carrying them. Like just on Void Ascendants doing like 3 mil, right? While they're doing below 2 mil. Other higher value targets, consuming Void Stone, I think I just do, yeah, this one I'm kind of mid on. I'm not like terrible, but I'm not exceptional either. Mostly because I'm actually hard targeting the Ascendants, because those are the prior target in virtually every pack, including the last one, where it's really important to kill the Ascendant before the Void Stone goes into its sub 40% sort of screw you phase. Alright, back to the video. Sorry. Doing this all in one take. No, it is. Alright, yeah, so finishing off this pack. Now this next pack, I get really frustrated with the Boom Cannon. Look, like we're not in voice or anything, so it's just personal here, but you'll see what happens. So going in pretty chill, stacking up here, quite important because, and you'll see why I get frustrated with the Boomkin, is he is not stacked up, and so the Crushers are jumping out there. And I need 3 targets to be able to cleave it all. So I'm like sending these multi-shots, desperately trying to get my trick shots up so I can do some respectable cleave here. Because, you know, of course, MM actually gains funnel. It's not quite funnel, I think, but it's, we gain single target when there's AoE to do, right? But because of the way he's standing, also the priest here, they're baiting all these out there, spreading them out. I just cannot get trick shots up in this scenario, and it's super frustrating. At this point, I'm just like crying at my desk. Then eventually get them up, but like lots of damage loss. Could have done way more than this on this particular pull if the positioning had been a little bit better. I decided to hold my CDs here because I expect the Void Stone to die before my my True Shot is up. So we just finish it off. And I think usually you chain the Crushers into the next pack here. Alright, here we are. Okay, so once we go in, we Black Arrow, True Shot, Black Arrow, pop down the volley. We hit the... yeah, okay, so this is instructive, I think. So I'm not exactly sure what's best here. So look at this scenario right here. We have the volley going. We rapid fire. We get a black arrow proc. Do we send the black arrow proc now, or do we hit the aim shot into the black arrow and do it with precise shots? I don't know exactly what's better in that scenario, but it felt pretty good. Like, because conceivably, I could have just sent the black arrow immediately, and if I gotten lucky, then the aim shot would have given me a proc right after. That would be good. Here, by the way, as I mentioned, like hard targeting the Ascendant. As soon as I know that it's going to die before the Voidstone hits 40%, then I swap. So like at this point here, it's not about it dying as quickly as possible. It's really just about not getting any overlap with the 40% mark. So it dies with the Voidstone around 50%, which means I probably could have swapped to the Voidstone just a little bit sooner. Here, once again, don't send a black arrow immediately. Wait until the aim shot gives you the... Here I'm trying to like sneak a few pixels of an AMS for myself, and I think I basically managed for 2 takes or so. Yeah. Then we finish off this. Okay, so we're going into the boss now. We do not have True Shot available from the pull. This is a textbook case of we hold... I think I even put in chat, like, I'm going to hold True Shot for the Lust. Because what's like, you always want the True Shot as Dark Ranger on the first push phase of this. So I say holding, I go mid, then we go, make sure the Hunter's Mark, and here we go. Hunter's Mark is extremely broken on this fight, at least for the first push here. Because I see, okay, in 30 seconds around the push time, I'm going to have PI, I'm going to have Signet, I'm going to have my my Lust, of course. And of course, the boss is above 80% HP, during which you can use Black Arrow on cooldown with no need for any Deathblow procs. So, I'm actually doing really respectable damage even at this point before we push, because I can cast so many Black Arrows so reliably here. But what's really going to be juicy about this fight is once we get into the amp phases. Marksmanship Dark Ranger single target burst is completely nuts. So, I'm basically looking for a good moment to lust. I think I lust around here-ish. I think, yeah, hit this. And then we go into the push. And I'm going to hold on to this black arrow, I think. Yeah, holding on to it. And then we send here. I could probably play this a little bit better. I'd send my True Shot at half a global late there, which is quite cringe. But yeah, once again, here, just praying for some procs. Shifting in there because the priest nearly decides it's the key should deplete. Yeah, get some juicy procs here. And basically just barely sneak in that last black arrow here and ending this phase on 4.5 mil. Okay, so now we're just rushing onwards to the next push phase. Now the question becomes, okay, do we use True Shot on our next amp? Or do we, because I don't think that my True Shot will come back in time for the same. In fact, I know it won't. So the question is, do you use to break the shield on the next go around, or do you hold for the amp? Generally, you're always looking for an excuse to hold for the amp because it's just more efficient in my estimation. But also because I would love for the boss to get under 20% HP on the next amp. Because that, of course, that will buff my damage massively. If the boss is just stuck below 20% HP with the shield up, that's really strong for my damage. Okay, so here comes the amp. I'm holding my aim shot a little bit so that I can aim shot into Black Arrow just as the amp begins. So even though we don't have cooldowns, that's no excuse to just play lazily. We gotta play, like, get as much short-term burst as we can out of our rotation as it is right now. So we're gonna go aim shot, pray for a proc. We don't really get very many juicy procs here. So then the question is, okay, the amp ends. True Shot is available. What do we do now? Now, I decide to hold because I figured, okay, we had all CDs on the very first amp. Then we had no CDs on the second amp. Surely, on the next amp, in 20 seconds with Potion, PI, Signet, plus everyone else's cooldowns, we can take this from 43 to 0 in one amp. Maybe that's totally naive, but that's sort of what I'm hoping for. So let's see if I end up being right, and if this ends up being a good decision. So here I just see that the priest has it taken care of, so I'm just doing my basic single target rotation here. Breaking the shield at a reasonable pace. Once again, like, MM's Dark Ranger single target in general is just so strong. Like, even though you're holding CDs for quite a bit here, it doesn't feel like the shield takes ages, honestly. But yeah, let's see here. So there pops my pacemaker. I will get some overlap with that pacemaker on everything else. And here comes the amp. Unfortunately, just as we enter the amp, with the cooldowns and everything, our Boomkin dies. So now I look stupid for holding when I... But the thing is, if the Boomkin hadn't died, I think we would have done it, because look how much damage this boss is taking. Unholy DKs have significant execute. I'm of course popping everything with PI and Signet, and I have Pacemaker procs yet left. So, you know, I end up climbing to a completely absurd DPS here. I should have sent that Black Arrow much sooner, by the way. That's kind of cringe. Like at this point, okay, so it missed 15 million damage. 213 million. Could the Boomkin with cooldowns have done that damage? I think possibly yes. It's hard to say. We could have pushed this much faster if he hadn't died, I think. But yeah, more importantly, you know, then we just push, you know, the boss is below 20% HP, so I can use my Black Arrows on cooldown. Still with precise shots though. But yeah, we just kind of, I'm really trying to focus more on pushing the shield as quickly as possible than anything else. Should have sent that Black Arrow sooner there. Make sure we go grab this. Hold my aim shot a little bit to do aim shot right into Black Arrow just as the base ends. And as we can see here, we actually end this boss at like 3.5 mil or 3.6 maybe. Pure single target. Of course with the amps and everything, but consider how much more damage that is than the others. Quite strong. Like just leveraging the burst potential of this build on single target in an optimal way can be really, really potent. And of course the overall damage is some of the highest out there as well. So yeah, I hope this was useful to any of you watching. If you like this kind of content, check out my Patreon, where you can also get personal hunter coaching from me. You can see the link to the Patreon in the top left of the screen. If you have any questions about marksmanship or BM, actually if you have any hunter questions in general, just type into my comment section and I will try to respond to every comment. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.